Apple had its final event of 2020, and I have to say, it has been something that I have been waiting for. I know this must be something that many people might not agree upon and would argue that possibly the iPhone events, the iPad events, or even the watch events might seem a bit more important than this one. However, for me personally, this event is a game changer. Let me explain why, okay? Welcome to my channel, The Rolly 14, and I'm Roland. This video is sponsored by... I'm sorry guys, I don't have a sponsor. I'm brand new to this whole video editing thing, so please bear with me if I make mistakes, alright? Let's break this video into, say, bite-sized segments so it's easy to follow, yeah? I will be talking about a few questions that my friends have asked me, and I think most of you have similar queries running in your mind. Apple Silicon. Why? Why now? Question number 2. What's the deal with the name M1? Yeah? 16 GB unified RAM. What the hell does Apple think? 4. What's the deal with 2 Thunderbolt ports for a Pro version? 5. M1. What's bad about it? And finally, should you buy it? Apple Silicon. Why? So here's the thing. See, Apple has been known to create disruption in everything it does. But you see, since the advent of iPhone, way back in 2007, nothing seemed to be so radical or disruptive that an entire industry might possibly be changed forever. But after the iPhone, Apple has not been radically changing anything, but incrementally doing something different until this one. Because I personally think this could be it. But what's special about the M1? The chip is essentially an SoC. It has 4 high-performance CPU cores for multi-threaded workloads, 4 high-efficiency CPU cores for larger workloads, and 8 GPU cores, a DRAM, a neural engine, and a cache, all in one chip. You see, Intel's been trying to deliver a 5nm chip for God knows how long, and it has not been successful in making a chip that's market ready. But guys, the M1 is 5nm, is ready, it has already shipped, and it is almost 16 billion transistors. No, that's just dizzying numbers of that anyone can even think of. So why is this all relevant? I mean, because it seems to address all the issues that existed with Intel, especially with regard to power consumption and also efficiency. You see, Apple's ideology was always to make systems work better by software and hardware integration. That is why it never needed more RAM for tasks. Instead, it always relied on increasing the efficiency of the software to match the hardware. Guys, let's be honest, Apple tried. It tried its best to make its home-baked apps like, say, FCP, Pages to blend better with the hardware. Along with every major macOS releases, you know, it kept changing things, but however hard it tried, the end result was always a system which was built on top of Intel, and it did not quite gel with Apple's need to scale. See, here's where I believe M1 comes in. See, it basically gives Apple a clean slate that Apple needed to optimize its softwares to a level which was previously unheard of. Don't believe me? Check this out. It's been only a few days since the release, and the Geekbench scores are already in the wild. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. What you have to remember is that these scores are from an entry-level MacBook Air, and it is being pitted against industry behemoths. See, I think it's quite funnily, it explains the wording of Apple, you know, latest PC laptop chip. Let's move on. So, what's the deal with the name M1? There's got to be some explanation, right? A few of my friends suggested that, hey, probably M's for Max, and you see, I can't quite agree with that. The reason is because iPad runs on a series of chips like, say, A14 Bionic, A14X. The watch runs on S, AirPods run on W, so maybe somewhere down the lane, Apple might release a naming convention that might explain as to what's going on with these alphabets, but at the moment, I'm not really sure. Okay, third question, the glorious question. My Windows friends always keep asking me the same thing. 16 GB RAM? What the hell? I totally get it. See, I explained this briefly earlier on, but you have to understand something first to really grasp what I'm trying to say. See, imagine a truck manufacturer, yeah, increasing the capacity of the fuel tank from say 50 liters to 100 liters to 150 liters to 200 liters so that the truck's able to cover longer distances. At the same time, imagine another truck company is able to optimize the engine to such an extent where keeping 50-liter smaller tanks is able to deliver the same, if not greater, range compared to that other manufacturer. Would that not be better? I think so. See, this is exactly what you're seeing here. My personal opinion is that in future, RAM won't matter anymore. The lines will blur so much so that the numbers wouldn't matter, because eventually all that would matter would be how much a computer can perform. Can the Mac run FCP? Can the Mac run Adobe Premiere Pro? That's the only thing that will matter. If it's gonna run say 4K footage, 5 or 6 footages, renders all of them without throttling, that's all people would look for. It won't matter if it's 16 GB of RAM or 64 GB of RAM, doesn't matter as long as the software gets the optimization, as long as the software works. The lines will blur. I'll leave you with one thought. Nobody now talks about the battery capacity of Tesla cars now, right? Only they talk about the miles it can cover. Why not talk about battery capacities now? Moving on. Fourth question. What's the deal with 2 Thunderbolt ports for a Pro? You see, my explanation is quite simple. I mean, I think it's possible that the M1 chip may not have enough PCIe lanes to have 4 Thunderbolt ports. See, I'm not sure about the architecture inside, but this is just my assumption to justify what Apple did. Did anyone notice that a Mac Mini does not have a 10 gig Ethernet slot? Or does it? I'm not sure. See, Apple just forgot to label it correctly, I would assume. We'll never know until we get our hands on one. M1 chip. What's bad about it? Okay, it's no secret that I'm a hardcore Apple fanboy. See, I have no shame in accepting it. However, I'm not one to be blindsided by Apple's elegant advertising. See, when I think of the M1, I'm remembering the old PowerPC days. I mean, Apple was literally forced to switch to Intel just to stay afloat, yeah? If we want to dissect why PowerPC failed, that's an entirely new video segment that I would be happy to discuss with you guys. But the take-home points are quite simple, and I think since that time, 2 things have changed. One is that Apple has a huge developer base, a dedicated, loyal developer base, who develop apps even if it introduces a new platform. Secondly, Apple Silicon comes from Apple's own stables, unlike our PC. So the take-home message is that this time around, Apple is positioned in such a way that it is not going to fail. Fingers crossed. The last but the most interesting question, should I buy it? See, the future does look bright, good or bad. Okay, see, I think the nerd in me is super excited about the prospect of something new, something interesting, and I will keep you guys posted as to how things pan out and the possible news of future Apple Silicon. But right now, when you look at the numbers, the GPU, as in the graphics, is not as powerful when you compare the MacBook Air to the AMD powered MacBook Pro. So why should you buy it? See, here's the thing. Remember, this is the M1 and you're getting it on a MacBook Air and a Pro. See, for an Air, I think it is kind of justified. See, people who want to buy a MacBook Air don't look for extremely high GPU performance. However, you should remember, even with an M1 chip, the GPU that it has is around 2.8 teraflops. That's still eons higher than what Intel was offering, what we had before for the same price range. What else is there? Battery life. The biggest selling point of MacBook Air was that you never had to carry a battery, and it was 10 hours. Okay, 10 hours was legendary for years. And right now, Apple has advertised in 18 hours and 20 hours for the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro, respectively. I mean, seriously, this is something, this essentially like rules out the need for carrying a charger completely. 20 hours of video playback, I can't even begin to think what the hell is the deal about. I mean, this is just insane. And I think when it actually comes to a laptop selling point, I would say people would look for this rather than anything else. So for all the graphic hungry people, say hold your horses. Maybe an M1X with more graphic power and more GPU capacities around the corner, which can take it above the 5.8 teraflops that is currently offered by the AMD MacBook Pro. You know, Apple's gonna release an M2 which has no thermal throttling whatsoever, and maybe even the M1 in the Mac Mini with its efficient cooling can have more capacity whatsoever. So if you're really hungry for those, wait a while. But in any case, I personally think this is a step in an entirely new dimension, and I quite like the path where Apple is making moving forward. And just as Tim said,
this truly is a huge day for the Mac and a huge day for Apple.
Feel free to subscribe and comment. This is my first ever video, guys. I mean, compared to other stalwarts out there on YouTube, I'm just starting. So bear with me, look out for me and help me out. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. And with that, folks, it's goodbye from the Rolly 14.